one of the reasons that Trump launched the attack in Yemen was as a move to try and pressure Iran into nuclear negotiations. How successful was that, and how likely do you think it is that Iran will assent to negotiations?
That's right. As far as the timing goes, I also don't think it was an accident that it happened one day before the war in Gaza was started. Remember, the Houthis, of course, had struck Israel a number of times. Israel had struck them as well. They had made it very clear that they would start again once the war in Gaza started again. Now they are distracted to a large degree by U.S. activities. So I don't think that was a mere coincidence that it happened that way. But it wasn't just a tactical timing thing, as you say. It was sending a strategic message as well. And this is a strategic message that has been sent actually over a couple of administrations. It wasn't well understood, but in the waning months of the Biden administration, I believe it was October, if I'm not mistaken, they did a strike on Yemen that was notable. They had done a number of strikes on Yemen, but this one was notable because it used B-2 bombers and it went after a underground facility, and we publicized that fact. And the spokesperson from the Pentagon said very clearly that this was a message to others in the region. Those B-2 bombers can fly from the United States all the way there. There's obviously other targets, more important targets in the region that are deep underground, the Iranian nuclear targets. President Trump, in taking office, made very clear messages towards Iran that he was interested in a negotiated solution to the tensions between the United States and Iran, particularly involving the nuclear program. Quite frankly, I was also a little surprised about this because I thought President Trump would be more personally affected by the intelligence he was going to see about continuing and longstanding Iranian attempts to assassinate him, not just his people, the people that worked in his administration. Those were everything that I'm told by people who are more in position to know the intelligence than me, is that those assassination attempts are real. The Iranian regime is also trying to assassinate people in the United Kingdom today. I had anticipated that would have a more immediate and direct effect on President Trump's thinking about Iran. It still may, but it did not right at the outset. At the outset of his administration, he sent a number of signals that he wanted a negotiated solution with Iran. This was, in fact, what he wanted in his first administration as well. He sent private messages. He sent through intermediaries. Now he has sent a formal letter to them. Elon Musk met during the transition the Iranian ambassador at the United Nations. I don't know the subject of that, but it's impossible to imagine that he did that without instructions from Donald Trump to do so. And even when Donald Trump has refused to appoint a number of the people who in his first term were at the lead of the maximum pressure campaign against Iran, many of the people associated with Donald Trump have said a number of things over the years about how they want to avoid a war with Iran. President Trump has said he wants to avoid a war with Iran. And even when Prime Minister Netanyahu came to town and Trump signed an executive order reinstating the maximum pressure, he did so while making public statements to the cameras that he really hoped that this didn't get used, that he really didn't want to do this. this is, again, President Trump is very transparent. If you choose to understand, if you choose to ask the question, what does he want? He's sending a very clear signal. What he wants is a deal with Iran. I don't know if he's going to get it.
How prepared is Iran to cut a deal with the United States? I mean, there are rival factions in Tehran. The country is under enormous economic pressure.
Right.
Its political influence has been substantially diminished in Lebanon and Syria.
Absolutely. Iran is at its, ironically, it's at its weakest point right now that we've seen in decades, mostly thanks to Israeli action against its proxies, also against a result to their terrible economic leadership of their country. But they're also very aggressive. Again, in the last administration, I believe it was the Deputy Attorney General who said that she had never seen an Iran so emboldened on their covert activities that she was watching. So if the leadership of Iran was smart, and if they understood Donald Trump, they would be leaping at the activities. And if they were only influenced by a logical view of what would be in their interests, they would be leaping at the opportunity to do a deal with Trump. Frankly, they would have been doing that last time, in the last Trump administration as well. They didn't do that in the last Trump administration because they have other motivations as well. They have, as you say, there's divisions within. There is very strong IRGC and Quds Force equities as they see them at play. And there is ideological, theological questions at play. I don't ascribe to the view that Iran is not a rational actor. I don't think that that's the case. I think they're a very rational actor. But I do think that they look at they understand their rationality through a prism of their own ideology, as many countries do. And their ideology is a theological one. And it doesn't involve sitting down with the United States. It takes great difficulty for them to do that. They would have to show a degree of flexibility, of quick action, of agility in their diplomacy. It took them a while to get there in the Obama administration, another administration that from day one was very clearly broadcasting to the Iranian regime that they wanted to do a deal. When President Obama went to Cairo and gave a speech, that's basically what he said. But it took years for the Iranian regime to get there, and only after a great amount of pressure had been put on them through sanctions and other things to get there. In the current environment, I'm skeptical that they will get there, which then will put the Trump administration in an important question. What's Plan B?